Good morning. This is Linda Ehrenfried with OOAK and I am working on a video today that is a follow-up to the wired hand videos that I put on YouTube recently. There were a few places on the video where I sculpted and wandered off screen. This is a follow-up to cover some of those points. The original videos that I recorded had a formatting problem, so I was not able to take them into my editing software and change those and add in the footage that I would need to compensate. So they have been uploaded in their original format, which works fine for YouTube, but it was not able to be edited. This is the follow-up to that video. Hope you enjoy it. And I'm going to demonstrate here how to measure the clay again. You would twirl your clay into a little finger shape, and you're going to measure it against the hand that we are using. Pardon the glare. And you can use a tool to cut the clay off. Okay. So we're just basically measuring the clay. You're going to try to keep it on the thin side because your fingers, and I discovered on this first set of hands that I had actually printed or paired up the hands incorrectly for the actual size of the head that I sculpted. So since I'm making a hand for that head, I'm going to switch to this other one that I printed. Sometimes when you're sculpting a head, as you know, you end up going a bit bigger or a bit smaller than you originally planned. It happens. This is why most of us, when we're sculpting, have a tendency to do the head first, get it baked, and then build the armature to suit that head rather than building the body and then making a head for it. It's as simple as the body is 8 times the length of the head. So if you wanted a 2-inch head and you ended up with a 2 1/4 inch head, you can still do the 2 times, but you're going to end up with a head that looks slightly too big for the body. I mean, 1/4 inch is not humongous to a person's head, but to a small doll's head, it can be quite noticeable. A 1/2 inch even more so. Okay, so anyway, those are, and the pinky obviously will be much smaller. This is just quick. You're going to want to be a little more painstaking than I'm being. Okay, so those are approximately the amount of clay that you're going to want for the fingers. Set that clay aside. And again, we had our wires. We had a long wire for the middle finger. We had a super short wire for the pinky. We had a bent wire for the thumb. And then 2 additional wires for the other fingers. And I have a still photo that I'll include in the video now that I can actually edit it. Okay, so we're going to, let me set this out of the way so it stays clean. You always want to try to keep your clay clean, and just dirt in the air will get on it and you'll end up with mystery spots just because of that. So wrap it back up and put it in a container off to the side when you're not using it, preferably one with a lid so that it helps to keep the dust off of it. Okay, so you're going to take the first roll of clay, which is, I'm starting with the pinky, and then you're going to take the pinky wire, and what I usually do is flatten out the clay a little bit. Take my wire and insert it in the middle of the flattened out section of clay, like that. And then I'm going to press down with the wire and up on both sides of the clay so that it wraps around it like a hot dog in a bun. And just pinch that together around the finger. You can see from the back side it kind of looks like a candle with a wick. Really long wick. Okay, now this back side, if you grab your, I'm going to use this Jack Johnson sculpting tool, and this is something else you want to remember when you're trying to keep your clay clean. You need to clean your tools, I mean regularly. They've been sitting in the dust also. So before you start sculpting each time, take and use a towel or something that's not very linty, like a cotton t-shirt you could use, I guess, and clean them. I mean, try to remove the old oils from the old clay that will now have dust build up on it, and get them prepared so that when you put them near your new fresh clay, they don't have old residue on them. So here's this again. Oh, I guess it would help if I could see. There they are. I'll put my handy glasses on here. Oh, there it is. Alright, and you're going to smooth these seams together. And keep a little pressure on the back of the finger while you do this. Let it rest against your finger, and that will help keep it from sliding around a lot. And keep pushing. I mean, you can even do this and pinch it between your fingers and then just slide down. And see how that seam just disappears? And then just roll it again gently between your fingers and get it round again. Go back to your hand and make sure that you're not out of scale. And what I do is I'm probably going to keep the pinky straight, whatever I need held. This is the hand that I sculpted for the previous video, and what I want to do is try to match the size of this hand, which is going to be smaller than the hand that ultimately ends up on my doll. I made this hand first, assuming that I was going to end up with a head the size of the doll in the picture that I printed, but my head turned out bigger than that, so I needed a bigger hand. But this hand is not a bad hand, so I want to make a mate for it. So give that back to Chewy there. He'll hold on to that for me. Yes, I am a Star Wars fan. So what you do to achieve the shape of the finger, there's a number of things. There's lines on the back of the finger, and there are creases on the front of the finger. And if you look at the profile of the finger, you're going to see that the creases on the top where the knuckles are relatively wide in comparison to the creases on the back of the finger. And the reason for that is the compression the joint is actually over here, and this is actually compressed skin. So these creases are wider and these are narrower. So when you cut the lines on the finger, these are equally spaced apart. You have an equal section, pretty close to three equal sections on the top of the hand, whereas on the bottom of the finger, this part is bigger and this part is bigger, and this center part is very small. So you want to keep that in mind when you make your marks on the underside of the finger. Also, your fingers are not perfectly straight lines. If they were, they'd be shaped like that. They actually taper. Let's see if I can get lined up right. They're narrower at the tip than they are at the base of the finger. And most of the expansion in width happens past the second knuckle. So it's pretty even right through to the knuckle here, and then the finger begins to widen a little bit when you get closer to the hand. It's not drastic, but when you do the hand, like you can see on this one, this finger has that widening. Let's see if I can get it close. Come on, focus. There we go. This finger widens like that, and this finger does not. And you can see how this finger looks too skinny. And I'm going to have to go back now, I see, and widen this finger. This finger has it, this finger has it, this finger does not. So where it's too thin on this finger, I'm going to go back and add more clay to thicken it up. Thinner at the tip and then wider where it attaches to the hand. There's also the profile of the finger that tapers as well. The tip of the finger is narrow at the very end, and then there's a curved taper where the finger gets bigger as it goes away from the nail bed, and it has that bowed out look for each joint.
Please subscribe to my channel.
So there's a lot to think about when you're shaping your fingers. And a round tool like this is good for getting that shape. And what I do is I start in the middle and gently, very gently, I roll towards myself and away from myself. Very gentle pressure. You don't want to push harder, you're going to expose the wire. You're also going to displace all the clay from this side of the wire to the other side, and at the same time make a cavity in between that's going to make your finger weak. So this is very gentle pressure. Remember, this clay is already warm. And then start at the tip. You can put your finger there to reinforce it. Roll back towards your first knuckle. Roll away. And then again from the top where it would attach to the hand, you're going to roll towards that first knuckle in the middle, roll away and roll back. And you're going to start the look of the flat part of the finger. Flat here, flat here, flat here. All right, and then you can go across this way and round the finger again. A little extra pressure there. Then on the back, remember, you're going to go to the oh, that one's too big. Need a thinner. There we go. You're going to be to the inside of that curve. Come on, focus. You're going to be to the inside of that curve. So there's your inside mark. There's your inside mark. They're closer together. And they are on the other side. On the top, they're equally spaced. On the bottom, they're closer together, especially if the finger is bent. Okay, taper the end. You can taper the end by putting your finger on the top. I'm going to show you on my finger. Put one finger on the top and the other finger underneath and draw up like that. And that's going to compress. It's going to flatten the top and bring the bottom tip up to meet the finger, so that by the time you're done, you have a nice, come on, focus on it. This new camera is frustrating me. I can't get it to cooperate on focusing on little things. Okay, and make sure your finger isn't twisting where you get it where it looks like it had been broken once in its life. You want to try to keep the fingers as straight as you can at this point, and not the whole stick, just the finger. Worry about the tip. So once you have that part done, I'm not going to do every finger for the video like I did last time because I want to keep it shorter this time. But once you have this part done, I had made these tools for a tutorial a while back. And what I did was I took coffee stirrers. I've been doing this for probably 9 years. The whole time I've been making dolls, actually. And I took the straw and I cut it so that the end of the straw, this tool, as you can see, this end is for the fingers and it's very small. And then this end is bigger and it's for the thumbnail. Let's see if I can get the two side by side. There we go. One end is bigger, one end is smaller. You'll see the second you press it in that you have a perfect impression of a fingernail just from pressing it in. This clay gets so soft that even the lightest pressure is rearranging the tip of the finger. It's not a good idea to keep working on it at that point. At that point, you want to set it aside and let it cool. And you're going to cut the end again the same way, open, and then you can just trim some of this away because you know you don't need this much. We're going to go for a smaller nail size this time. Curve the front around. Alright. And decide how wide the nail has to be. What you don't want is it to curve under. So you're going to trim these sides and trim the nail down so you get it about the length that you want. And be careful not to over trim or it'll be really weak and it won't work as well. Now I have just about gotten to the over trim length at the moment. I'm going to shorten it a little bit. And just to show you, a little fake finger real quick. This is again, you taper the end of the finger, have that nice little curve on the end, Actually, as you crease, finger tapers on the end, roll towards, roll away, towards and away. There's your creases, there's your lines. Okay, fingernail. You can take this tool and you're going to press this side in first at a little bit of an angle. See? Press that in, then rock it across to the middle. Tip it down so that the end of the nail goes in. Then rock it this way so that this side of the nail cuts in. Squeeze the tip of the finger slightly and press down. Perfect nail shape. Take the tool, come from, put your finger against the top of the nail. You're going to, you can create the underside with any rounded tool. You can use that tool or you can use a different tool. You're going to press the tool and the clay between it, between your finger and the tool. And then take this tool carefully and make that indent under the nail a little bit deeper, a little bit wider. And there you go. That is nearly perfect fingernail, just like that. And blowing it up should make it easier for you to see. Now this would ideally have been on a wire, but on a finger this size, honestly, unless the hand is going to be like drastically posed, you really don't need a wire, because this is going to be one tough hand from the thickness of the clay. But you can also insert the wire from this point. But that is the nail I was demonstrating. Well, that's it for this section of the tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Would appreciate it. And if you would like to make sure you get access to more sculpting videos, please subscribe to my channel. The next part of the video should be uploaded in the next week, and we will continue on. This is the progress on the hand. I'm a little bit ahead of the video uploads because the editing does take time, but this hand, as you can see, is curved to hold an object. It's not complete yet, but it will be. I think, going to be completed by the end of the next video. Again, thank you for taking the time and watching my video, and you can see examples of my work at www.oakdartdolls.com, OOAK artdolls.com. Thank you. Well, that's it for this section of the tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Would appreciate it. And if you would like to make sure you get access to more sculpting videos, please subscribe to my channel. The next part of the video should be uploaded in the next week, and we will continue on.